At 21 hours and 14 minutes local time on April 21, 2026, a Russian logistical column with the call sign Granite 14 was creeping down a deeply rutted dirt road 8 kilometers behind the line of contact in the Lyman Sector of eastern Ukraine. Unknown to the Russian drivers navigating the pitch-black corridor, their thermal signatures had already painted a brilliant neon line across a monitor inside a reinforced Ukrainian basement bunker 15 miles away. On the Ukrainian operator's threat display, the massive diesel engines of the convoy glowed white-hot against the cool spring mud, revealing a high-value sequence of steel. 3 miles ahead of the moving column, a Ukrainian first-person view drone pilot, call sign Shadow 3, was already holding a lazy loitering pattern at 400 feet, his video goggles displaying a grainy analog feed of the tree line below. The drone's payload was a customized 7-pound shaped charge designed to punch through heavy plating. The target chosen by the operator was not the heavily armored lead tank, but rather the exposed engine block of the third vehicle, a massive Ural transport truck packed with the squad's heavy weapons and supplies. Shadow 3 pushed his control stick forward, and the quadcopter screamed out of the night sky at 90 miles an hour, its rotors whining as it locked onto a terminal trajectory that would completely change the geometry of the entire Russian advance within the next 60 seconds. Hinting at a final, devastating payoff waiting at the very end of the supply route. The FPV drone slammed directly into the front grille of the Ural transport truck, and the customized rocket-propelled grenade warhead detonated instantly, converting high explosives into a supersonic jet of molten metal that sliced through the engine block like hot wire through butter. The entire front half of the truck erupted into a blinding thermal bloom on the reconnaissance screens, cutting the convoy precisely in half and halting the column in its tracks. Hitting the third vehicle in a single-lane mud track achieves one tactical goal perfectly, as it creates an immovable roadblock on a path bordered by dense trees and deep ditches. It is the exact battlefield equivalent of a multi-car pileup on a narrow single-lane bridge, where nobody can move forward, and the heavy armor trapped in the rear cannot turn around to escape. The mobility kill was entirely deliberate, transforming a mobile supply line into a shooting gallery in under 1 second. The surviving Russian troops inside the transport bed scrambled over the wooden sideboards, abandoning the burning chassis and sprinting toward the dark tree line for cover. They believed that leaving the disabled vehicle would increase their survival chances, but they did not realize they were simply stepping out of a localized steel armor shell and directly into an active, multi-layered kill chain that was engineered to hunt them down in the open. High above the burning wreckage of the Ural truck, a high-altitude reconnaissance unmanned aerial vehicle, call sign Watcher 9, was silently circling at 3,000 feet, its high-definition thermal optics tracking the fleeing infantry's body heat through the bare spring branches. Watcher 9 carried no ordnance, serving instead as a flying observation post that was constantly feeding precise digital grid coordinates back to the basement command bunker via an encrypted satellite uplink. Within 15 seconds of the first explosion, 2 more agile FPV strike drones entered the terminal engagement zone, their operators utilizing the live data stream to pinpoint the exact positions of the scattered soldiers. As the dismounted infantry panicked, one Russian soldier broke away from the group and made a desperate run for a nearby trench line, but an intercept drone dropped altitude instantly, tracking his movement before striking him directly at the crest of the earthen berm. 2 other soldiers dived deep into the thick brush, believing they were hidden from view, where they were immediately hit by a highly accurate vertical munition drop from a heavy bomber drone holding perfectly still at 1,000 feet. The traditional military concept of leaving a damaged vehicle for personal safety was dead, as stepping out of the chassis simply initiated the next pre-programmed sequence of the Ukrainian ambush. At 21 hours and 19 minutes local time, the tactical targeting matrix inside the Ukrainian basement bunker shifted from the scattered infantry to a much more critical asset hidden deep in the forest. The drone swarm pushed past the burning remnants of the transport convoy and began hunting for the network's nervous system, which was actively trying to blind the incoming aerial assault. A kilometer away from the main ambush site, a Russian R-330Zh Zhitel electronic warfare antenna was strapped high up on a pine tree, pumping out thousands of watts of localized global positioning system interference across the sector. Think of it like a guy standing in a dark room and shining a high-beam flashlight directly into your eyes while you are desperately trying to read a map. You know exactly where the flashlight is because the glare is overwhelming, but you cannot see the map in your hands to figure out where to go next. But the Ukrainian first-person view drone operators were not relying on satellite navigation for the final mile of their approach. They were using terminal optical tracking, which relies on human eyes analyzing a low-latency analog video feed that the jamming signal could not completely disrupt. The electronic warfare antenna took a direct hit from an explosive drone, and the localized radio network fractured instantly, leaving the entire Russian platoon cut off from their headquarters. Seconds after the antenna collapsed, a heavy multi-rotor bomber drone breached the camouflaged roof of a nearby underground dugout that was serving as a temporary command point for the Russian sector officers. The heavy payload blew through the timber supports, and the command screens inside went black, destroying the tactical awareness of the defense force in an instant. The Russian sector commander lost his transport trucks, his dismounted infantry squads, and his electronic warfare cover in exactly 6 minutes of continuous precision strikes. Without the tree-mounted antennas, the surviving platoon members lost all voice contact with higher command, and without the protection of the dugout, they remained completely exposed to the relentless thermal optics hovering in the sky above. At 21 hours and 24 minutes, a specialized armored recovery team located at a secondary base was ordered to spin up their engines and move out along the main supply route to extract the remaining survivors. What the recovery vehicle drivers did not know as they accelerated down the dark highway was that an entirely new layer of area denial had already taken hold along their intended rescue route, rendering the concept of a safe retreat entirely obsolete. 2 hours before the first transport truck was hit, 3 advanced rotary wing munitions had silently powered down their motors and landed softly in the tall grass along the approach route, turning themselves into stationary hidden threats. These devices were essentially aerial landmines waiting on standby, their high-resolution optical cameras facing the dirt road while consuming almost zero battery power. They were not flying through the air, and they were not emitting any radio signals that could be picked up by Russian electronic surveillance teams. They were just waiting patiently in the dark for a specific acoustic or thermal signature to pass by. When the armored recovery vehicle approached the ambush zone, its defensive systems did not trigger a single incoming radar ping to alert the crew. There was no audible warning of a drone diving from the sky or a missile being launched from a distant tree line. The landed drones simply detected the heavy vibrations of the oncoming tracks, powered up their high-velocity rotors right next to the road, and leapt into the air from a distance of only 20 feet, reducing the driver's reaction time to absolute zero. The rescue route was permanently closed. The entire system had collapsed layer by layer, and the survivors were left hunting ghosts in the dark. The failure of the armored recovery vehicle left the remaining elements of the Granite 14 column completely isolated in the mud, with no hope of reinforcement or evacuation. High above the chaos, the electronic eyes of the Watcher fuel cell reconnaissance drone continued to map the exact locations of every surviving asset, transmitting a clean digital stream to the artillery batteries waiting 10 miles to the west. The Ukrainian operators inside the command bunker were no longer tracking a moving target. They were managing a static grid of destruction where every asset was pinned down by the threat of instant airbursts. The Russian platoon commander attempted to rally his remaining men into a defensive perimeter within a deep drainage ditch alongside the single-lane track, hoping the earthen lip would shield his troops from horizontal fragmentation. What he failed to factor in was the trajectory of modern vertical drop munitions, which eliminate the traditional protection of trenches by attacking at a perfect 90-degree angle to the surface of the earth. A heavy agricultural octocopter, modified to carry 4 82mm mortar shells on mechanical release racks, hovered directly over the coordinates provided by the reconnaissance system, its silent electric motors masking its presence until the first heavy steel casing unlatched from the belly. The 82mm shell cleared the drop rig and fell through the dark, guided only by gravity and the precise stabilizing fins welded to its tail section. It struck the center of the drainage ditch with a deafening crack, sending thousands of razor-sharp steel fragments tearing through the position at 5,000 feet per second. The localized blast wiped out the remaining command structure of the platoon in less than 2 seconds, proving that a simple dirt trench is nothing more than an open grave when an adversary commands the vertical airspace directly above it. The few survivors who were not incapacitated by the blast wave abandoned the ditch entirely, scattering blindly into the dense brush without their weapons or thermal blankets. They were running from a threat they could hear but could not see, their boots churning through the deep mud as they tried to put distance between themselves and the burning hulls of their transport vehicles. But in the modern theater of electronic warfare, distance is a relative metric that means nothing if your thermal signature is still radiating heat into a cold spring night. Every step they took across the open fields was tracked by the hovering optics, which were already guiding a fresh wave of low-cost munitions toward their exact headings. The economic reality of this engagement was devastating to the Russian defensive posture in the Lyman Sector, highlighting a massive imbalance in the cost of modern kinetic operations. The entire Russian column, consisting of 3 heavy transport trucks, an armored recovery vehicle, an electronic warfare asset, and 30 fully equipped infantry soldiers, represented a material and training investment of roughly $2.4 million. The Ukrainian drone team, operating out of a basement using commercial components, off-the-shelf plastic frames, and salvaged rocket-propelled grenades, had dismantled the entire force using 12 specialized drones with a total manufacturing value of less than $8,000. This is the new mathematical calculus of asymmetric warfare that puts military planners in rooms with no windows, where the cost of a single defensive interceptor missile exceeds the value of an entire production run of the adversary's strike assets. A $45 quadcopter frame, when combined with a $72 analog video link and a $6 custom explosive trigger, possesses the exact same strategic lethality as a $1 million precision cruise missile when deployed against unarmored logistical networks. The Russian military was fighting with a 20th century supply manual against a 21st century digital algorithm. The remaining 3 Russian soldiers who survived the mortar drop crawled into a thick patch of birch trees 200 meters north of the ruined road, trying to compress their bodies beneath the damp leaf litter to mask their body heat. They remained completely still for 12 minutes, holding their breath as the distant hum of electric rotors faded into the ambient sounds of the wind, believing they had finally slipped outside the detection envelope of the Ukrainian kill chain. What they did not understand was that the air above them was not empty, but was instead occupied by a medium-altitude, long-endurance drone utilizing a shortwave infrared sensor that cuts through dense foliage by measuring microscopic changes in environmental temperature. This system does not look for a clear shape. It looks for anomalies in the natural background radiation, where a human body registering 37 degrees Celsius stands out against 0-degree mud like a beacon in an empty ocean. The sensor locked onto the cluster of warmth beneath the branches, and the automated tracking algorithm highlighted the coordinate with a blinking red circle, immediately transferring the target vector to a waiting pair of high-speed interceptor drones. The twin interceptor drones cleared the tree line at 95 miles an hour, their digital video transmitters switching to a specialized frequency to avoid the lingering remnants of the localized radio interference. These specific platforms were equipped with a proximity-fused fragmentation sleeve wrapped around a standard 4.5-pound explosive block, designed specifically to clear soft targets hidden behind light cover. The first drone dived through the upper canopy of the birch trees, its carbon fiber blades slicing through small twigs before the operator triggered the manual detonation sequence 3 feet above the ground. The directional blast sent a cloud of 600 steel pellets expanding outward in a perfect cone, neutralizing 2 of the hidden soldiers instantly, while the third ran blindly toward a clearing. The second drone followed a fraction of a second behind, tracking the movement of the last survivor as he stumbled across the uneven terrain before striking him directly between the shoulder blades. The entire 3-man detachment was eliminated without a single Ukrainian soldier stepping foot within 5 miles of the forest, demonstrating the total supremacy of uncrewed systems over traditional infantry concealment tactics. With the personnel elements of the Granite 14 column completely erased, the Ukrainian operators turned their attention back to the abandoned vehicles idling on the single-lane mud track to ensure no salvageable material remained. The lead tank, a modified 70-ton main battle tank with heavy reactive armor tiles along its turret, was still running, its diesel exhaust creating a massive plume of thermal energy that dominated the center of the operator's display screen. Reactive armor is designed to defeat standard anti-tank missiles by exploding outward to disrupt the incoming shaped charge, but it relies on the missile hitting the thickest parts of the frontal plating. A low-cost FPV drone, however, can maneuver at angles a traditional anti-tank missile cannot replicate, allowing the pilot to fly around the protected arc and look for microscopic manufacturing flaws or ventilation grates. The operator selected a specialized tandem-charge munition designed to bypass the first layer of explosive shielding and brought the drone into a gentle banking turn to align with the rear deck of the idling tank. The pilot hovered for 2 seconds to confirm the angle, then accelerated directly into the exposed louvers of the engine compartment. The tandem warhead functioned perfectly upon impact, the first small charge detonating the outer reactive tile while the secondary major charge burned a hole through the thin steel grates covering the transmission fluid lines. Within 3 seconds, the internal fuel cells caught fire, and a series of secondary explosions began tearing through the ammunition storage bins inside the hull, cooking off the 45mm shells in a spectacular display of kinetic failure. The 70-ton main battle tank, engineered to withstand direct hits from other heavy artillery pieces, was reduced to a molten pile of scrap by a consumer-grade hobby drone steered by a 20-year-old operator using a standard video game controller. This specific engagement proved that heavy armor is no longer a symbol of battlefield dominance, but rather a high-visibility target that cannot survive without a dedicated envelope of short-range air defense systems. The Russian command structure had assumed that a single tank could escort an unarmored supply column through a contested corridor, but they had failed to realize that the airspace was completely owned by an invisible network of digital hunters. As the smoke from the burning tank billowed into the night sky, a final, unexploded Russian logistical truck, at the very rear of the column, attempted to reverse down the narrow track to escape the trap. The driver had turned off his headlights and was navigating solely through night vision goggles, throwing the heavy vehicle into reverse while churning through the deep mud ditches flanking the single-lane road. But his escape route had already been anticipated by the Ukrainian command element, which had deployed a specialized heavy agricultural drone, nicknamed the Vampire, to seed the path behind the convoy with remote activation magnetic mines. These mines do not detonate based on physical pressure, but rather by sensing the massive disruption in the Earth's magnetic field caused by thousands of pounds of moving steel. As the rear wheels of the transport truck crossed the invisible line, the internal sensor triggered a 3-pound directional claymore charge that shattered the rear axle and ruptured the main fuel tank. The truck spun sideways, wedging its chassis tightly between 2 large oak trees and completely sealing the only remaining exit from the Lyman Sector supply route. The entire logistical operation had been dismantled in less than 24 minutes, leaving 5 burning hulls scattered across a 300-meter stretch of remote forest road. The final payoff, which the drone operators had been coordinating since the initial timestamp at 21 hours and 14 minutes, was now ready to be delivered to the Russian command hub that had authorized the movement. The reconnaissance drone, Watcher 9, zoomed its high-definition lens into the cab of the final ruptured truck, where the driver was desperately trying to broadcast a distress signal over an encrypted handheld radio. The digital Link 16 network intercepted the signal wavelength within milliseconds, revealing the exact geographic coordinates of the primary Russian headquarters base hidden inside a concrete factory 6 miles to the east. The Ukrainian command bunker did not launch another drone. Instead, they transferred the fresh targeting data directly to a high-mobility artillery rocket system waiting on standby. 3 precision-guided rockets left their launch tubes with a thunderous roar, punching through the roof of the concrete factory and destroying the entire regional command staff before the burning remnants of the convoy had even cooled.